all of this taken apart. Just to move the little needle. Okay, so today I've got something a little bit different. I'm going to show you how to replace the instrument cluster on an 02 to 05 Ford Explorer XLT. I think all the Explorers are the same though. Let me put you inside here. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is take off the 7mm bolts right here on this bottom panel. I think this is called, I think you'd call it a finishing panel. It's really nice to have electric gun, electric impact. If you don't have one of these, everybody needs one of these. It makes things so much simpler. So be careful, there's always a clip back here. Sometimes it doesn't stay in. I've seen that a lot. This is real similar to the 2006s. But a little bit harder than the 2006 to take apart. So sometimes this clip right here, the retainer clip, will actually fall out. Just make sure it doesn't fall out and hit the ground and run away. Seems like everything that hits the ground bounces like a rubber ball. So take out both of those. There's not a clip on the other one. And then these things right here are held on, see if we can move it, with retainer clips. So you just take it, pull down right here on the corner, right here on this corner, and then over here on this corner. And that's it, and set that aside. Okay, so now after that panel's off, you're gonna want to get the next two bolts, which one here, which is actually three. One, two, third one's there. Go ahead and get those off real quick. Again, pay attention to those clips that are behind some of these. Alright, so the next thing you got to do after that is to remove these 7mm bolts right here. We'll do that real quick. And you're probably not going to be able to get to that with an impact, obviously, so you'll have to use a good old ratchet. Take those, put them somewhere where you won't lose them. Now to get this panel off, this trim piece right here, it's just held in with retaining clips from here on out, but it overlaps with this thing right here. Your center console piece needs to come off before you can actually get this off. So this can be kind of a pain. Plug everything here. So the best way that I've figured out how to do it is if you can get your finger up here, you can pry on it. Or if you can get a hold of it up here, you can pull it forward. But you always want to start with this corner. And if you want to pry on it, that's fine. But this right here is kind of like a soft vinyl. And you don't want to pry too hard all the way around this because you'll leave pry marks on it. So what I do is I like to get a hold of it right here with a pry. If it's never been out before, that's the hardest time to get it out. But you want to get a hold of it right here and kind of use your knuckle or finger and pry it back. But I've had this one out before, and you just kind of want to get it on the corner right there and pull it, and then just go around, kind of roll your fingers until you find the end of it. You don't really need to unhook anything. I'm gonna unhook this 4x4 switch though, just to be able to lay it down. So this is where it overlaps right here. And then what you wanna do is you wanna just pull. Once you get that loose, you want to get the remaining 2 bolts. Alright, so now after you've got that loose, you are going to need your keys, which are where? Find your keys, and you're going to make sure I've already got the parking brake on. Turn your keys on, put your gear shifter all the way down to 1, and then just lift this up like so. You're gonna need to unhook your headlight. Buttons. Once you get those undone. Now sometimes there's like a fancy button right here for the pedal shifter movements that you'll need to get out of the way. And clip this. Once you get that unclipped, just go to push this down to the side and lift this out of the way. Okay, so now to get this up out of the way, once you pop this off, you don't necessarily have to pop this off. I think it's easier though, but all the way around here, you can use your trim tool, something like this, and just stick it underneath it here and just pop this off, and then it just pops back on to go back into place. That way you can get the rest of the panel out of the way to get to the cluster. Okay, so this is just an extra special note. Seeing how mine doesn't have the adjustable foot pedals or the gas and brake pedal, this is on the headlight switch side underneath of the panel. There's still a connector for it, so the connector for the wiring harness is still there, and it just goes into this cap, so you still will have to unhook it even though you don't have a switch. Okay, so now after that's all said and done, you've got everything loose, everything's out of the way. If you're weird like me, it's an opportunity to clean things, but we'll get to that later. Okay, so now what you gotta do is you gotta get the shift window right here loose. You need to drop this needle down in there. It's kind of hard to do with one hand. There's ears right here that you need to release. You can pop, these things need to be just pushed out and it'll pop down. I'm gonna have to do it with both hands, hold on. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. Once you get the ears down, you want to be really careful with this not to damage the parts inside, but you can just pull it down. And then you want to move that out of the way so you don't break it. It just Slowly wiggle it down. Be careful with it though, it's pretty fragile. Then after that you can take the 2 bolts on the bottom of the cluster out, 7mm also. One there. And then one on the exact same side. Exact same place on the other side. As you can see it there. Right there. So we'll go ahead and do that real quick. Careful with those retainer clips. You want to move the gear shifter thing. I didn't show that. You want to move it kind of just a little bit out of the way. Then you want to pull down and out. Then you should be able to get underneath of it and pull it up. And you should have 2 connectors on it. Turn your blinker on like that for safety. Or your hazards, more like. So you'll have one connector on one side. On the left and the right, they've got the real easy to pull tabs, so just pull those out. Just make sure you don't get your connectors mixed up. And there it is. One instrument cluster. Now this is a really good time if you're not replacing the whole entire cluster like I am. I'm just going to fix something on it. What you'll want to do is it's a good time to clean it up on the inside. Take the panel off, clean the inside of it pretty good. And another thing that's not going to hurt because you did all this work would be to go through and replace the bulbs. Because why not? You've already come this far, you might as well. So here goes nothing. And it works.